Hey, Gammon. Mr. Suter here in my garage. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm not at school. If you're in my classroom, you hear me talk about working in my garage all the time. And today, I'm going to kind of use my garage as a classroom to teach. I know things are weird right now with us not being able to go to school and be in the classroom, and everything's just a little bit different. And, you know, we could have a closed mindset or we could have a growth mindset. And I urge you to have a growth mindset. Just because we're not at school doesn't mean we stop using our 7 habits. So now more than ever is a great time to put our 7 habits to use in our real life. And I wanted to share a story about how I've taken this kind of weird situation in time and used it to be, to be positive. So that starts with actually a week before spring break. In my classroom, I challenged my students to make a goal for spring break, something that they would work on over spring break. And I did the same. And so my goal was to get my motorcycle, one of my motorcycles, Calvin. He's a 1981 KZ440. So he's 39 years old right now. I purchased him back in 2015, March 9th, 2015 is when I bought him from a barn. He was a barn find. So here's a picture of Calvin when I first bought him. As you can see, he's a piece of junk. He was a pile of junk. Now, over the years, I've worked on Calvin a little bit here, a little bit there, and I never really got him to be quite the way I wanted him to be until I set my spring break goal. So I said, before spring break, I will have my motorcycle, Calvin, ready to go. That was my goal that I set. So the first thing, I knew that if I was going to meet that goal, I'd have to be proactive. I'd have to begin with the end in mind, and I'd have to really put first things first. So I sat down, and the first thing I did was make a list. So I've got that list with me here, and I'll put it up here. So this list was kind of a unique list because there are things that I had to do and things that I didn't really need to do. So if you want to think about it like our scales, my had to do's were my level 3 things, and my level 4 was like if I want to get fancy things. So I made my plan, and then to ensure that I'd be proactive, I made a schedule. I knew that when I got home from work, I would work in the garage for about an hour to make sure that, I would meet my goal. And I knew that I was going to need to order parts, so putting first things first, beginning with the end in mind, I ordered all of my parts before I started the project, so I was able to just use my time wisely, just get right to work. And that worked out great. Spring break came, and my motorcycle was perfect, ready to go.
That is so much better. Oh my goodness.
I wouldn't say he was perfect, but he was ready to go. And then that's when I had to work on the next 3 habits. I had to do think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and synergize. Now I had to use these 3 habits with the state of Kansas, which when you're older, you'll get to see how fun it is to work with the tag office people. Now, Calvin is a unique motorcycle in the fact that he's 39 years old, so he's an antique. So I had a lot of paperwork that I had to fill out, and once I had all my paperwork filled out, I had to load him up into my truck, as you can see here, and I had to take him to the Sheriff's Patrol office, and the Sheriff's Patrol officers had to do an inspection on him to make sure he was safe to ride so that I would be safe and others would be safe. So that's kind of where that think win-win came into play because, I want to be safe riding on the road, but I want other people to be safe as well. So he passed his inspection, everything was great, and I got all my paperwork filled out. Sweet, awesome. We used some synergy. They helped me load them up into the truck and everything. And then I had to drive across town to the tag office. And, the tag office is a strange place. You'll find out when you're older. But at the tag office, I had all my things ready. I was ready to go. I thought I was ready to go. And I walked in and I started talking to the lady, and right away she was like, "Oh, Mr. Suter, you're missing some paperwork here. You need to come back when you have your paperwork, blah, 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 blah." That's where habit 5 really came into play, because instead of getting upset with her and being like, "No, lady, I have all my stuff. I just came from the sheriff's patrol office. They said I've got everything," I had to stop, take some deep breaths, and then I was like, "Well, what paperwork am I missing? Let's talk about it." So it turns out she was trying to give me a regular license plate. Now, Calvin is not a regular motorcycle. He's an antique, so he requires an antique license plate. So I had to, once I figured out what she thought I needed, then I was able to express what I actually needed. And that's where we clicked, and we were able, taking the time to figure out what she was trying to say, then I was able to let her know what I needed, and we were able to synergize after that. So instead of getting upset and being like, "No, lady, you don't know what you're doing," I was like, "Wait, hold on a second. What paperwork do I need? Do I need that for an antique motorcycle?" And she was like, oh, I missed the part that we were doing an antique. Okay. Well, no, we don't need this for an antique. And I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you. Cool, great, grand, wonderful. I got my license plate right here." This isn't the actual license plate. This was the paper one they gave me. I have my real one on the motorcycle now. I got my metal one. So that's where I had to use Habit 5, and then that turned into Synergy. Once we understood what we were doing to work together, I was able to give her all of my paperwork and do everything, and then boom, I got what I needed. I got my license plate. So right there, I had my plan. I followed everything. I used the first 6 habits, and everything was great. I got home, I unloaded my motorcycle, I put my paper license plate on there, and I went for a ride, and he broke. And that was not fun. I was really upset. I was really upset. My first thought was to put him back in the barn and not mess with him anymore. But I went back to my plan, and I started over. So I ordered new parts that I needed, and I used it as an opportunity for more learning and to get to that level 4 stuff. So I completely tore the motorcycle apart, took everything off. I had to rebuild the engine, and I tore the engine down, rebuilt it. When I was waiting on parts for the engine to come, I painted the motorcycle. I painted my frame, I painted my gas tank. I made sure that every day that I was able to work, I worked and was proactive and did everything I needed to do. And it actually paid off, because now I have a rebuilt engine, so it's like a brand new motorcycle. My frame is painted, my gas tank is painted. I learned a lot while doing it, and I met all of my goals. I did new brakes, new shocks, new forks, new paint, everything. I've got like a brand new motorcycle now, and I don't think I would have been able to get to this point had I not, started with the 7 habits and had a growth mindset. So even though, things are different and we're not able to go to school regularly or do things, like we wanted to do or like we're used to doing, now is a great opportunity to try new things, to set new goals, and to just make the best out of this weird time we're living in. I can say right now, no one is having more fun than me, and I hope that Gammon Nights lead the way and show everybody that even if things are not the greatest, in the world right now, we can still have a load of fun. So, that's all I want to share today. If you notice, I talked about 6 of the habits. Now, I'm going to go outside and go for a ride throughout the country and work on my 7th habit, sharpening my saw. So I will see you guys later. Alright, grab my helmet to be safe, and garage door, and let's go through a little ride. Oh man.